Miss Owens here. I'm going to go over the worksheet for today called Step Up 4. So we've done 3 of them already. We're already on Step Up 4. Again, the purpose of these worksheets is to get you prepared for 6th grade. So these are all 6th grade concepts. So let me go ahead and share the reteaching screen with you. All right, so this is what your paper should look like, the reteaching side of your paper. So this is Step Up 4 reteaching, and we're going to be using ratio tables. So if you look, a ratio table showing equal ratios can be used to solve a proportion. So they give us this example. Don uses 11 skeins of yarn to make 4 scarves. How many scarves can he make from 66 skeins of yarn? So use a proportion, use X for the number of scarves, okay? So for instance, they give us this first part. They say that Don uses 11 skeins of yarn to make 4 scarves. That's the information that we know. That's the proportion of scarves he can make with the skeins that he has. So he has 4 scarves and he has 11. So now we have to figure out, so we're going to fill in this table using that proportion. So make a ratio table, multiply or divide to find the equal ratios, find ratios equivalent to 11, 4. So we're basically finding 11 to 4 to 11, excuse me. We're basically finding almost like equivalent fractions to that. And we know how to make equivalent fractions. We either multiply or divide to figure out equivalent fractions. So until we get to 66. So the question is, how many scarves can he make from 66 skeins of yarn? So if you look at this table, let me see if I can zoom in a bit. If you look at this table, they have kind of done it for you. So they had 4 to 11. That was our first original proportion. And now they have 8 and 22. And now I would have to think, okay, so how did they get 8 and 22? Well, from 4 to 8, I can multiply by 2. Let's see if it works for 11. 11 times 2, is that 22? Yep, they did. And then here you can see that they multiplied 4 by 3. Here they multiplied 4 by 4, 4 by 5, 4 by 6, okay? Finally, when they multiplied the top and bottom by the same number of 6, they got to 66 skeins. And so that told us that 24 would be the number of scarves that he makes with 66 skeins of yarn. So it says right here, so Don can make 24 scarves from 66 skeins of yarn. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit and we're going to do a couple of them together. So looking at number 1, and you will have to follow along on your worksheets because I'm going to stop sharing so I can show you the work on my whiteboard, okay? So if I look at number 1, and hopefully you're following along, it says there are $25, okay? And it doesn't really, it just says that there's $25 to an unknown amount of minutes. I'm assuming this is like you get $25 per however many minutes, or it charges you $25, whatever it is, okay? And the proportion that they give us that is equivalent to is $200 for 1,000 minutes. So this is kind of what the top part says. And what we're looking for is that blank box right there. We're looking for the answer to that. They've given us the proportion here, and we know that it's $25. So we're trying to work kind of backwards now. And if you look on the next part, we have a table to fill in that's going to help us get to that solution. So the table, it says number of dollars and number of minutes, okay? And I'm going to kind of make it a little bit less fancy than theirs. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and they have some of it filled in for us. And if you notice, the numbers do get smaller. Okay, so I have this table and the numbers are getting smaller. So if you think that on the last problem, in our example problem, the numbers got bigger, we multiplied. 4 to 11 to 24 and 66, we multiply to get there. Here, we're probably going to divide since the numbers are getting smaller. So from 200 to 100, how did I get from 200 to 100? What did I divide by? I divided by 2, okay? And if I have 1,000 in half, I am going to divide that in half, and I'm going to get 500, okay? So I filled in that first one with 500. Now, how do I get from 200 to 50? I'm going to divide by 4 to get there. So if I do 1,000 into 4, and I'm going to double check, I get 250, okay? And then the next one, again, and if you notice, I'm just dividing by half, half, and half. Technically, I'm dividing this by half again from 50 to 25, okay? And if I do that in half, okay? So if I really want to know, so 200 divided into 25, that'd be 8 times, okay? And 1,000 divided by 8 would be 125. Notice again, it's half of 250. Okay, so 25 and this, so basically I would divide by 2 here. Technically, I'm dividing by 4 here, and then I'm dividing by 8, okay? Or taking this, cutting it in half, taking this, cutting it in half, taking this, cutting it in half to get to the end result. So now I can solve my problem. $25, how many minutes? If I look here, $25 is 125 minutes, and that would be my answer there, okay? So you have to figure out, so they give your proportion, you have to figure out, am I multiplying to get to that proportion, or am I dividing? And whatever you do to the top, you also have to do to the bottom to find that ratio. Let's see if there's any others I feel like we need to go over. Let's go over one more. I'm just going to do number 2. And again, if you have questions further than 2, if you get to 3 and you're like, I still don't understand based off of 1 and 2, what to do, contact your teacher. They can send you videos. They can video chat you to get it under control. Okay, but number 2, let me share my screen real quick. There it is, number 2. Okay, number 2 has an unknown number of batteries to 9 flashlights equals or is proportionate to 12 batteries and 3 flashlights. And you notice here that they don't give us any kind of numbers. So let me again stop sharing. You'll want to, again, follow along. I'm doing number 2. So we have an unknown number of batteries. So I'm going to say question mark batteries. I'm going to stop there. To 9 flashlights, and that is proportionate to 12 batteries and 3 flashlights, okay? Just like that. And the table they give us is just like the last one. So we have number of batteries, and I'm just gonna write B, flashlights, I'm just gonna write FL. And then I have my table here. So this one's blank, so it's a little bit more challenging, but we have to fill in what we know first. And we know that there's 12 batteries to 3 flashlights, and we're trying to get to 9. So technically, you don't have to use every single row on this table, but they have it for you in case you do need it. So I'm gonna times it by 2, because if you notice, I have to go from 3 to 9. That means I have to get a little bit bigger. So I'm going to times it by 2 first. So if I times the top and bottom by 2, 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 12 is 24. Okay, and I'm still, again, I'm trying to get to 9. 3 times, so I did 3 times 2, and I'm going to do 3 times 3 now. 3 times 3 is 9. Ooh, I think I'm there. And then I do the same thing at the top. 3 times 12 is 36. Now notice I'm not using that last space, and you don't have to, okay? It's not necessary. So I have my 9 flashlights. I know my proportion is I'm timesing by 3, top and bottom. So my answer would be 36 batteries. Okay, so just to review everything, we went over step up 4. We were using ratio tables to solve equal ratios. For 5th grade, think of this as equivalent fractions. What are we timesing by? What are we dividing by to get that equivalent fraction that they have for us? You have to write the proportion. You have to make a ratio table and either multiply or divide to get to that equal ratio. Again, if you have further questions, feel free to contact your teachers. We can send you either extra videos or chat with you one-on-one to go over the worksheet. All right, bye.